We are back with Zharia's final part 3 interview. If you missed part 1 or 2, you can go back and watch those interviews before this one if you want.
What personally motivates you to continue to speak against circumcision amongst family and friends?
Being able to see the truth of it all. How could you acknowledge the truth and not want to do nothing? I feel like you would have to be a psychopath or something be really messed up in your head to find out that this is what's going on to children and not want to say anything at all. That's why I say, like, every opportunity,
Right.
I speak up and I say something.
What kind of work or contributions have you made towards eliciting change in society?
I'm not a very outspoken social person, but if the opportunity comes up, I have no other choice but to bring it up. I will, even if it's putting a bunch of Your Whole Baby cards in the Walmart changing tables, or sneaking them into diaper boxes, or just putting them on cars, or leaving them around the NICU. I try to do that, yeah.
Do you have any stories about times you collaborated with other advocates or organizations?
When I got over that hill of being so pro-circumcision, I had started having a sense of admiration for so many of the legends within the Intactivist community. And so being able to go to San Francisco in 2018 and be amongst them and be able to join and see the action in person. I remember when I was starting to sway over to keeping my son intact, it was a lot of the interviews that Bloodstained Men, especially Brother K, has did on the street. I remember him interviewing a few regret moms and hearing their story and how they're so glad that he's out there. And so he was my real big introduction into the whole Intactivist community and the movement altogether. To meet someone who helped educate me and helped change my mind on the decision, I don't think the Intactivist community would be anywhere near that it is today without him. I know it sounds cheesy, but, shout out to Brother K.
Do you have any idea how many families you've influenced or babies you've helped protect?
I feel like sometimes you can put in the work, you can try your hardest, you can be determined, but not always be able to see the outcome of your work and stuff. But as far as I know, I have 3 babies that I was able to save. 2 through a mom group, and then 1 my own personal nephew. And that's a milestone for me. I'm really happy about that.
In your opinion, what makes a grassroots movement effective?
Being able to acknowledge what once worked in the past may not work now. Being able to look back on some of the mistakes or some of the mishaps and being able to learn and grow from that, and being able to be open to new ideas in the way of doing that, yeah.
What would help the movement grow and reach more people, especially in hard-to-reach regions?
Focus on the demographics that are not being reached. Seriously. Altogether. Focus, and that's why I shout out Brett and Cockfight and what they're doing. They saw a demographic, they saw an approach, and they fulfilled that need. And that needs to happen in so many other communities and so many other demographics that are not being met. There are so many people in the Intactivist community that comes from so many different walks of life, religion, culture, race. So it's there. It just has to be a little bit more organized. But you have to be able to focus on what part are we not reaching, and how can we expand that more? And I think that would help out a lot.
Why do you think it's difficult for many groups to track or prove the number of circumcision that they prevented?
Honestly, I think once again, it boils down to organization. But at the same time, like I said, I've had many conversations with mothers and parents, and they've never came back and was like, oh, yeah, I changed my mind. And thank you so much. Da, 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 da. I just had to hold on to a little glimmer of hope that it happened. I mean, there are people out there who have come back and say thank you so much. I would have made the worst decision in my life, but you kept me from doing that. And so, yeah, some people do come back and they do express their gratitude for the education that they received, but then also you had to acknowledge, like, as far as I know, there's not like a database out there that's keeping up with the numbers or anything. I mean, maybe some Intactivist has been, but as far as I know, like, nobody's keeping the numbers. It's not like an organized database. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. I mean, I imagine PETA or any other organization, when they go out and they try to do charity or crowdfunding, they try to put out there, like, we saved this many babies. And this is, but as far as I've seen, I don't think anybody's keeping track.
What do you think Prevail over the system brings to the movement that is valuable?
Open discussion, which is needed. The only time I've ever seen open discussion amongst Intactivists has probably been through debates and arguments. But I love that the channel could have a safe space for Intactivist people to be able to have open discussion about what's going on within the community, the change that they would like to see, the things that we can do to improve together as activists. I think it's good for you to stay in tune with what's going on and be able to communicate with others so we can be able to better educate society and the community and everyone. And I think it's important. Like, I always, throughout this whole thing, I've talked about organization, and a way to do that is be able to have open discussions and be able to acknowledge what needs to be approved, and just to be able to see different aspects of the whole movement itself. Like, you may be able to grow as an activist, being able to hear someone else and how the way they approach things and their opinions, and the best way to accomplish the mission, which is fight against circumcision, would be able to equip yourself with better skills in doing that. And I think that this channel offers that.
Hey guys, it's me, Pots. I'm briefly interrupting this interview to let you know about the Pots e-commerce program. It is vital to keeping the Prevail Over the System channel alive. Go and join us on our Discord to learn more. And best of all, it's free to partake in the Pots e-commerce program, and we don't need any of your information whatsoever. This helps us keep the interviews coming along with other Intactivist content to empower, teach, and update Intactivists with very important information, as well as being the voice for the Intactivist public. Thank you all so much. Okay, now back to the interview.
How do you think POTS could grow or become even more effective?
I think they're already on the right track. They're once again offering a space for Intactivist people to come together and have open discussions, being able to talk about different things that is going on within the community. And obviously, that's the best way you can really start off. And as the number grows, and hopefully it does, and it grows on to something bigger, I think it would be really beneficial to the Intactivist community altogether, because at the end of the day, we're all family. Yeah, and once we're all on one page and we're able to express, our different ways of approaching this situation or this topic, I think it'll be all better.
Last question. Why does this movement matter to you, and what keeps you showing up for it?
I'm a mother. I am a human being who care about others, and I see the problem, and I see that there needs to be a solution, and there needs to be someone to speak up for what's happening. I hate the idea that abuse is not only done and accepted in society, but in the medical field and amongst so many people out there. I think it's horrible. And I wouldn't be able to sit back and not say anything. And that what's really bothers me is because I would like to think that we're more civilized in America than how we've been behaving. And I believe that there's hope for the future. I really do. There has to be. There has to be. We have to be better at protecting boys and men in the future than we are doing today. There has to be. I truly believe change comes with so many other movements out there. When people begin to speak about certain issues, they seem absurd and they seem radical. But over time, people have accepted that they are humans and they deserve basic human rights. And I believe that it's possible for this community. It's possible. And as long as I live, I will always speak out against abuse, harm, and sexual trauma against children. And I think you're a sick person if you don't do that. You can't pick and choose what's okay and what's not okay when it comes down to abuse. You have to be able to accept the fact of what circumcision really is. And if you've ever come across it and information and you've ever been awoken to the problem and you're okay with sitting around and not doing anything about it, I think you need to reevaluate yourself and who you are as a person. And so I think that's right.
Well, I appreciate your time doing this interview.
Of course.
And I'm sure all of our viewers really appreciate it.
I hope so.
Thank you for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
I
you.
hope it helps. I hope it helps.
I hope people learn something, a thing or two.
Me too. That's what's important. Like, I don't care about anything else. As long as you can walk away with a little bit of something. That's all that matters.
A little stuff to reflect on and think back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always sticks with you.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Zharia. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. She doesn't have any links to share down in the description. However, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our other interviews and our other Intactivist content we release every single week. Please share and like this video to get this out to more people. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bye.